أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي العربي القرشي المكي المدني الهاشمي صاحب قاب قوسين محبوب رب المشرقين والمغربين، جد الحسن والحسين النبي الحرمين والإمام القبلتين والرسول الثقلين الذين سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين وحجته على الخلائق أجمعين، روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء، واللعنة الدائمة الباقية على أعدائهم ومنكر فضائلهم وغاصب حقوقهم أجمعين. أما بعد، فقد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم: يا علي أنت وشيعتك هم الفائزون. وسلام صلوات على محمد وعلى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. For the honor of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, another salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And to hasten the reappearance of our awaited Savior, and we have third loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We mentioned, in light of this hadith of the Holy Prophet of Islam, the virtue and the desirability of success. We established that success is an inherently desirable trait that a human being possesses, regardless of their beliefs, regardless of their background, regardless of where they come from. They all share this desirability to achieve success. Previously we had said that there may be some discrepancy, there may be some differences when it comes to defining what is success. How do we know what is successful, what is not successful? And of course, even though everyone is in agreement over the fact that success is desirable, they're not in agreement over what it defines as success. The definition of success will differ from place to place, from people to people, in different societies, in different moral codes. There will be different definitions of what success actually is. However, we mentioned that all of those definitions of success, everything that is speaking of, is about this life. It is about success, which is a limited success. However, the success that we're concerned about is the success of this life and the next life. The success that we want to achieve is through the success of this life and in the next life. So for that, Rasulullah has mentioned this solution for us, that Ali, you and your Shia will be the successful ones, will be the ones who achieve success. Now, as we mentioned previously, there has to be some conditions of how to achieve this success. How does a person get towards this success? In that regard, we have, of course, in many places in the Holy Quran, But for the sake of brevity, I'll mention the instances, the two instances, or two of many instances in the 30th juz of the Holy Quran, because these are surahs that we're all familiar with. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about two things and they always come together in the Holy Quran. There's never a mention of one of them without the other. What are these two things? Is Iman and Amal al-Salihat. In the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't speak of Iman without Amal al-Salihat, nor does He attach any value to Amal al-Salihat if there's no Iman. So these two instances in the 30th juz of the Holy Quran give us an insight into this issue of success even more. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls out in a surah that we're all very familiar with, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr. Everyone is unsuccessful. All human beings are unsuccessful. Not only are they unsuccessful, they're in loss. Fil khusr. They are in loss. They have become totally unsuccessful. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Except for those who believe and do good deeds, do righteous deeds. Now why is this so much emphasis on these two things together? This is important. The context of the revelation of the Holy Quran about which context is being revealed in, and what is the context of those people who claim to believe in those times. So there is a group of people prior to the advent of the religion we're talking about. There's a group of people who adhere to a religion and they are adamant that the only thing that's important in their religion is the rules that they have been asked to follow. Their whole focus is on the rules that they have been ordered to follow. And that to the extent that the religion has become a religion of yes and no. The religion is just, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can't do this, that's it. As a response to this, there's another group of believers. We're talking about the time before the advent of the religion. There's another group of believers who have become sick of this. You know, it's a, you can make a machine say this is right, this is wrong. We're talking about human beings here. To an extent that this group of people are unsatisfied with this. They say that the religion, the way to lead one's life has to be something greater than this. And they've decided that no, the grace from God, it will be sufficient. Whether a person does righteous deeds or not, doesn't matter. What is important is grace from God, and if a person receives grace from God, then they will be successful. The religion of Islam has come to such a context. Therefore, it's imperative that religion of Islam says, no, both of these approaches are not correct. Neither is religion a set of rules of doing yes and no, nor is it sufficient to rely on the grace of God and not do any righteous deeds at all. No, but rather a person has to believe in the grace of God, but at the same time do righteous deeds as well in order to receive that grace. This is the reasoning why every time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about belief, He talks about righteous deeds. That if a person believes, then they will do righteous deeds as a result of the belief that they have. But if a person does righteous deeds and they don't believe, then on which basis and on what hope are they doing these deeds for a person to do these righteous deeds? Therefore, there needs to be belief and there needs to be righteous deeds. This is what is the key and our first step towards unpacking this hadith, the Holy Prophet of Islam, regarding success. How do we achieve this success? How do we get to that success? This is the first step. That a person has to believe and they have to do righteous deeds, because the default starting point, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ, man is in loss. The man in and of himself is unsuccessful, because otherwise he will follow his own desires. If left to himself, he will follow his own desires and will become unsuccessful. Therefore, only those who believe and do righteous deeds. This is a method that's used in the Arabic language. It's also used in other languages as well when wanting to emphasize something. When wanting to emphasize something, an exception is used. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that everyone is in loss except those who believe and do righteous deeds. Surely he could have also said those who believe and do righteous deeds are successful. No, in order to emphasize that everybody else is in loss and only those who believe and do righteous deeds are successful, this exception is used. To emphasize everybody is in loss except for those who believe and do righteous deeds. Now, what's the context of this hadith? Where did this hadith come about? When did the Holy Prophet of Islam mention this hadith? Is also related to another surah in this 30th juz, with a similar verse with it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals in, this is Surah Al-Asr, in a few surahs earlier, Surah Al-Bayyinah, which is surah number 98 of the Holy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals in this, what does he say? He says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ خَيْرُ الْبَرِيَّةِ. Surely those who believe and do righteous deeds, they are the best of creation. Those who believe and do righteous deeds are the best of creation. So people come to the Holy Prophet of Islam, all of these hadiths which I am mentioning with regards to this surah are mentioned in Tafsir Furat al-Kufi. From a 5th Holy Imam, 6th Holy Imam, and from various chains of narration. That the Imams Salamullah alayhim say that people came to the Holy Prophet of Islam and they said, Ya Rasulullah, this verse that has been revealed, that those who believe and do righteous deeds, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ خَيْرُ الْبَرِيَّةِ, they are the best of creation. Who are they? Who is Khairul Bariyah? Who are the people whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given such a high distinction towards? At that moment in time, the Holy Prophet of Islam mentioned this hadith, Ya Ali anta wa shi'atuka hum al-faizun. You and your Shia are Khairul Bariyah, you and your Shia are successful ones. Because Khairul Bariyah are the ones who are going to be successful. So, in this regard, it is important therefore for a person to know that when Islam has given us this balance over Iman, over belief, and righteous deeds over action, that means we have to be cautious against those people who either invite us towards Iman without any action or towards action without any Iman. Both of those people are people who are taking us towards things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not inviting us towards. And this is important because this is a day and age where there's all kinds of people inviting people to all kinds of things. Therefore, how do we recognize whether this person who's inviting me towards this, whether they're genuinely inviting me towards what Allah wants me to go towards, or they're inviting me for their own means and purposes? Because it's easy to hear a person talking about a particular thing and say, well, this sounds very interesting, so maybe this is right. Well, this sounds interesting. But religion of Islam is about balance in this regard. That Iman has to be strong. What I believe in is important. Religion as a whole, this in itself is an important area that inshallah, as we go on, we will try to look at. That Iman is important and Amal is important. Now with regards to Iman, we're living in a time and a particular part of the world where people say, what's the need for religion? Why do you need religion anymore? What is the use of religion? Religion was for a time where people were not educated, there was no scientific discoveries, people could not explain certain things, so therefore they believed in religion. Now, in today's day and age, we have intellectual development, people have progressed so far ahead in the world, and you guys are still talking about religion. Why do you need to talk about religion? So inshallah, if Tawfiq is with us, hopefully in the coming days we will try and shed some light on this as well. What is the need for religion? So Islam is saying that Iman is important, i.e. where you got your religion from, what you believe in is important. This is the entry into that success that you will achieve. But also action is important. It's not just sufficient for me to conceptually talk about things that I believe in. So I believe in one God, or I believe in the prophets, or I believe in the imams, or I believe in the day of judgment, or I believe in certain characteristics that Allah has, I believe in His angels, I believe in the Quran. But what about my actions? What about my actions? If somebody thinks that just by saying that I believe is sufficient and I don't need any actions, then the most deserving of that was the Holy Prophet of Islam. The most deserving of that was Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. But their life is full of action. Their life is full of action. In fact, in the life of the Holy Prophet of Islam, there is nothing that the Holy Prophet of Islam has ordered people to do that he himself did not do at first. There's nothing in the Holy Prophet of Islam's life that he ordered somebody to do something, but he himself had not done it first. There's nothing in the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen that he ordered somebody to do something and he hadn't done it first. In fact, there were things that he didn't order people to do, but he still did them. He still did them. He showed that this is the importance of action as far as Amir al-Mu'mineen is concerned. Iman is important, and with it, righteous deeds, with it, righteous action, with it, righteous works, because if anybody else was deserving of not doing this, then it was Amir al-Mu'mineen salam. He would have said, I'm Qasimun Nar wal Jannah. I'm the one who's going to distribute, I'm going to decide who's going to go to paradise and who's going to go to hell. But I'm doing righteous deeds to show you, to show me, to show everybody else that why the rest of us, we've been ordered to do righteous deeds with the promise that we will receive something in exchange. You do something, in exchange you will receive something. This is the status of the believer. The status of the believer is that if you do something, you will receive something in return. The status of a mu'min, the status of Amir al-Mu'mineen is what? Is that I didn't worship you in order to receive paradise. Nor did I worship you because I was fearful of your punishment. But I found you worthy of being worshipped, so I worshipped you. Amir al-Mu'mineen is saying that if I want to get to that highest stage of success, it isn't about paradise and hell. It's about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being the only entity in this whole universe who's worthy of being worshipped. Because you will find people, this is the last thing for today, inshallah, we'll continue from tomorrow. You'll find people in this world who worship wealth and who worship status, who worship fame, who worship all kinds of things. But remember that all of these worships are worthless. The only entity worthy of worship is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not for paradise, not for hell. Because He's worthy of being worshipped. Because He's worthy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is worthy. How He's worthy, inshallah, in our future discussions we will go on. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam is showing me up until these final moments in his life about the value of how valuable this success is and how much you've got to sacrifice in order to get it. I previously mentioned that he, in this 40th year after Hijrah, when the month of Ramadan, the moon had been sighted, he used to ask about which day in the month of Ramadan it was. One of the people, one of the servants working in his house, was asked later on, he said that Rajab and Sha'ban and Ramadan, these are the months of ibadah, of action. Which month was it where you would see Amir al-Mu'mineen in the most ibadah, the most action? And the servant was astounded and they said, you're talking about Rajab and Sha'ban? Amir al-Mu'mineen used to do ibadah in every month like the month of Ramadan. In every month, like the month of Ramadan. As if it was the month of Ramadan. Said, but on this 40th year after Hijrah, Amir al-Mu'mineen used to, after every day in the holy month of Ramadan, would look up to the sky and say that it appears that this is the month of Ramadan that my brother Rasulullah promised to me. This is the month of Ramadan after which I will not experience another month. It's mentioned in the beginning of the month of Ramadan, Amir al-Mu'mineen was in the masjid and a person walked past far away from him and said salam to him. Imam ﷺ called him, summoned him to come closer. When he came close to him, the Imam said, what's your name? He said, my name's Abdul Rahman. The Imam said, what's your father's name? He says, my father's name is Muljim. Imam said, are you from Bani Murad? He says, yes, I'm from Bani Murad. Imam ﷺ says, I see that it will be your sword and my head. This is the beginning of the month of Ramadan, the 40th year after Hijrah. Ibn Muljim says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, how is that possible? That it would be my sword and your head? How is it possible? He says, Ya Ali, can you not do something that this doesn't happen? This is the month of Ramadan, 40th year after Hijrah, the same Ramadan. Imam says, I advise you, go far away from here. He leaves Kufa and goes to Yemen. He goes to Yemen. Where he goes to Yemen, he meets with the leaders of the Khawarij. And they plan, as is well known, they make this plan that there are 3 people in the Ummah who've made all the trouble for the Ummah. The first one is Aliyadu Billah Amirul Mu'mineen, the second one is the governor of Sham, and the third one is Amr ibn As. And so we will all gather and go to their respective places and kill them and end it once and for all. So the person who is assigned for Amr ibn As goes towards Egypt, and the person who is assigned towards governor of Sham goes to Damascus, and Abdurrahman ibn Muljam goes to Kufa. Now he returns to Kufa on the 18th of the month of Ramadan. This time he doesn't come to see Amir al-Mu'minin. He goes to stay at one of the Khawarij houses. The place where he stays, he sees the daughter of the person who stayed. And she's very beautiful, and he falls in love. And he says that I want to marry her. She says, I will marry you if you fulfill the conditions of my mahar. He says, what's your conditions of your mahar? The conditions of the mahar are 3,000 dirhams and a slave girl, and the head of Ali ibn Abi Talib. He says, everything else I could do, how can I get the head of Ali ibn Abi Talib? Now he's come with the intent of killing Amir al-Mu'minin salam, but he still doesn't know how he's going to do it. So they say that there is a story from a previous time, in the time of Rasulullah, where there was an arrow stuck in the foot of Ali. And it was very painful to remove it. Nobody could remove it. They came to Rasulullah and they said, Ya Rasulullah, what shall we do? He said, when Ali is in prayer, remove that. So when he was in prayer, they removed it and he did it. He said, the only place you can kill him is in prayer. The only place you can kill him is in prayer. The plan is made that he's going to be killed on Friday the 19th of Ramadan, the 40th year after Hijrah, in the prayer. Amir al-Mu'minin salam, he's come out from the house. He's come into the masjid. He's awoken everybody. He's awoken his own killer. He's awoken the man who he knows is going to kill him. He wakes him up. He says, don't sleep on your chest because this is the way of shaitan. He says, I know why you're sleeping on your chest, because you're hiding the sword that's going to kill me. Yeah, he still wakes him up. He goes on to do the adhan. He begins the nafila of Fajr, and that moment Ibn Muljam realizes this is the chance to. Ibn Muljam comes forward and he strikes the Imam as he's coming up from Imam alayhi salam calls out Fustura. Imam calls out Fustura Rabbil Kaaba. Jibreel calls out Tahadamat Wallah Arkan al-Huda Qutila ibn al-Mustafa. The pillars of guidance have collapsed. The brother of Mustafa has been killed. Let me take you back just a day prayer. On the night of the 19th of Ramadan, while Amir al-Mu'minin was in the house of Sayyid Kulthum, they hear some sound outside the house. Sayyid Kulthum says, my father, it looks like there's somebody outside. So Imam al-Mu'minin goes out and he sees that Huzaifa al-Yamani is there with 40 young men. Imam al-Mu'minin says, yes. Huzaifa says, Mawla, every day in this holy month you keep telling us that this is the month in which my brother Rasulullah had promised me. How can we bear that there be a time where you are not amongst us? I have brought these 40 young men with me, and we will stay here because we cannot bear anything to happen to you. At this moment in time, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen says something. He says, Huzaifa, who am I? He says, Huzaifa, who am I? Allah. What a question. If Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen asks me, who am I? What do I reply? What can I reply? Huzaifa begins to shake. He says, Mawla, you are my Imam. Imam says, I order you to go back home. I order you and all of you to go back home. They all go back. Huzaifa, when he comes back home, his wife says to him, Huzaifa, you came back? He says to his wife, I didn't come back. I was ordered to come back. I was ordered to come back. He begins the amal, he's lying on his bed. At that moment there's a breeze and he falls asleep. The next thing he knows, his wife is shaking him and saying, wake up, look at the sky. Look at the sky, it's gone black. The earth is trembling. What is that sound outside? Huzaifa comes running out. When he comes running out, he notices there's a man running. There's a man running from the masjid at the prayer time. And there's a sword in his hand. Huzaifa asks this person, what's happened? This person runs away. Huzaifa chases after him and brings him forward. He's tired and he's brought in the presence of Amir al-Mu'mineen. The Imam says to him, says, Ibn Muljim, was I a bad Imam? Was I an unjust ruler? Did I change the religion? Why did you do this? His hands were tied. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen says, untie his hands. Imam says, untie his hands. He looks thirsty. He says to Hassan, he says, that milk that I left on the 18th of Ramadan, bring that milk and give it to him. I swear by Allah, if anybody wanted proof of the existence of God, it was there on the 19th of Ramadan. It was there on the 19th of Ramadan. If there's a man who offers food to his killer after he's killed him, and he says to me, believe in God, I'll believe in whatever he tells me to believe in. Amir al-Mu'mineen, his hands are tied. He says, untie his hands, feed him. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen says, he begins to recount the wasiyat. In the wasiyat he says, if I stay alive, I will deal with him. If I'm killed, then only one strike, because he struck me with one strike. Only one strike, because he struck me with one strike. And do not cut off the hands and legs, because I heard Rasulullah saying, do not cut off the hands and legs, even if it's of a rabid dog. Allahu Akbar. That was the Kufa of the 40th year after Hijrah, where Rasulullah was remembered and Amirul Mu'mineen said, I will not have injustice even if it's my killer. I will not have injustice even if it's my killer. It will be Kufa 2 decades later, where the heads will be severed from the bodies, where it will be the court of Ibn Ziyad, where the heads will be severed from the bodies, where they will be presented, where the family of the Holy Prophet will be treated this way. It was the morning of the 13th of Muharram, concluded the majlis. It was the morning of the 13th of Muharram. when the women folk of Muhammad's caravan arrived outside Kufa. It was announced that the Kufa is being prepared. There's going to be a celebration. Therefore, the household of the Prophet are waiting outside. At that moment, Zainab Salamullah alayha says to Shimon, she says, Shimon, if we must enter into Kufa in this state, then let us allow us to enter at night and allow us to enter from one of the side gates of the city of Kufa so that we may not be humiliated. At that moment, Shimon reminds Zainab Salamullah alayha, and he says, Zainab, today you are not a princess of the city. Today you are our prisoner, and you will enter in the way that we want you to enter. You will enter as prisoners, and we will humiliate you. ولعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أيام القلم ينفع. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون.